Okay? Yeah.
Oh, thumbs up.
Good morning, everyone. Appreciate everybody's patience. We were having a little technical difficulties. Welcome to our January 10th, 2023 Madison County Fiscal Court meeting here at the Berea Council Chambers. At this time, I'd like to call this meeting to order. Clerk Barger, if you will, please call the roll.
Master Combs.
Here.
Master Lockmiller.
Here.
Master Hughes.
Here.
Master Botkin.
Present.
Judge Taylor.
Here. At this time, I'd like to invite Reverend Timo up to lead us in a word of prayer. Reverend Timo is from the Berea United Methodist Church. Appreciate you being here today.
Thank you so much. My privilege, really. Of course, I'm tempted to say, preach you a good sermon right in the beginning of this session, but I may save you from that. But let's pray. Let's pray together. Dear Heavenly Father, in Jesus' name we come to you as we gather together as men and women, brothers and sisters, to do our work that we have been called to do. Lord, we pray for our community. We pray for Berea City. We pray for the surrounding county. And we pray for the people, children and families, grown-ups, elderly people. We pray, Lord, and we ask your protection and guidance and goodwill to happen in everybody's life. Lord Jesus, I pray for these men and women who have offered to serve this community by giving their time and effort and wisdom and guidance and leadership to make difference in the life of people. Lord Jesus, I ask wisdom for this meeting. I ask your guidance for what is on the agenda list. And I pray, Lord, everyone and for everyone and their families and their loved ones and their churches and all that they are, Lord, help them to serve you from their heart. We pray for our community, for those who are less fortunate. We pray for those who are ill, even some of our council members. And we pray for everyone in this community, our families and friends that we've been thinking about recently. And we ask, Lord, your mercy and grace to surround, to descend upon our lives, to guide us and to lead us. And we pray as your disciples always pray together, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thanks for your day.
Sheriff, if you will, lead us in the pledge.
Everyone will please stand and face our flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated.
Thank you, Sheriff. Next is approval of our meeting minutes. These are our minutes from our December 13th, 2022 Madison County Fiscal Court meeting. At this time, I need a motion and a second to approve.
Make a motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, call the roll.
Master Combs.
Yes.
Master Lockmiller.
Yes.
Master Hughes.
Yes.
Master Botkin.
Yes.
Judge Taylor.
Yes. Treasury report is always at our fourth Tuesday meeting, so we'll have that at our next fiscal court meeting. Today, first on the agenda, first order of business, a proclamation recognizing our Madison County School Board. And we have some of those folks here with us today, so appreciate you all being here. Whereas our community values a quality education as a vital step along the pathway to success for our children. And whereas Beth Brock, Samantha Burford, Lori Cobb, Becky Cole, and Brandon Rutherford contribute greatly to this community through their service on the Madison County Board of Education. And whereas these decision makers are responsible for maintaining strong, effective budgetary oversight, high standards for employment, and a safe, well-managed set of school facilities. And whereas these board members are serving our community with integrity, honor, and a commitment to our children's futures. And whereas January 2023 marks Kentucky's observation of their contributions through School Board Recognition Month. Now therefore, I, Reagan Taylor, do hereby proclaim the month of January 2023 throughout this community as School Board Recognition Month, and urge all citizens to honor Beth Brock, Samantha Burford, Lori Cobb, Becky Coyle, and Brandon Rutherford for their service. So, thank you all. And Brandon, as our chair of our school board, Superintendent Gillum, I don't know if anybody would like to say a few words.
I just want to say thank you all. Appreciate it. You know, we work hard and we strive to give our community the best education our kids can have to make forward, because these kids are the future of our community. You know, they're the ones that's going to be in charge 20, 30, 40 years from now. So that's what we're working hard to do, is to make sure we enable these kids with the best education to make the future of Madison County better.
Yep,
So.
I love it. If we can, we'll do a picture. Court members, y'all will. Push my chair.
Wait a minute, you got an honored guest trying to get in the room.
Somebody's gotta keep the office rolling.
Glad you could join us.
Good to see you, Randy. Somebody walked by and then they never come in the door. You gonna sit back down? I'm not.
Hey.
Yep, absolutely.
Before they get out.
Yep.
If I may, on behalf of myself, I just want to say I've got two seniors at Madison Central High School, and we've been very pleased with the education and what's going on at Madison Central High School. So on the behalf of the Lottmuller family, I just want to say thank you for all your hard work, and especially all the teachers and administrators. So thank you.
Any other court members? Good. All right, next is Resolution 2023-01. This is Madison County Clerk's 2023 budget. Kenny?
Yes, sir. Normally don't do them over here, but I got a resolution coming after, so I'm gonna have something about call roll and everything from over here. Anyway, this is for the new members. Our budget, and I say this every year, if you come from the private sector, this is not a real budget, because our revenues must meet our expenditures. In our office, that's not typically what happens. So we're usually conservative with the revenues and add things in the expenditures to make that thing come out even. Our office is a fee office. We operate off of our fees, but normally, like most clerks' offices, we end up with excess fees at the end of every term. And because we're a fee office, we're over 70,000 in population, we give every quarter, we give 25% of our revenues back to the fiscal court once a quarter. Again, if you look at a normal budget, this isn't normal, but I want to explain that before we got into any discussion about it. Anybody got any questions?
Kenny, if you want to, go ahead. Do you have the resolution?
Yeah.
If you want to go ahead and read the resolution, and then we can,
Well, we got to vote on one. I don't have a resolution on the budget.
Okay.
I got a resolution on the
fit up. Okay.
fit up.
So then let me read the resolution
Okay.
for it then. A resolution for the Madison County Fiscal Court to approve the Madison County Clerk's 2023 budget. Whereas the Madison County Clerk presented the Fiscal Court with the 2023 budget, and whereas the Madison County Fiscal Court is required to approve the Madison County Clerk's budget annually. Now therefore be it resolved that the Fiscal Court does hereby approve the Madison County Clerk's 2023 budget and authorizes the Judge Executive and or his designee to execute same on behalf of the county. So at this time, I need a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2023-01.
Make a motion to approve Resolution 2023-01.
All right, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second? All right, now, do we have any discussion?
Sorry, I got ahead of myself.
That's all right. I thought you had a copy of the resolution, so
No, I don't think I've ever.
That's
ever
okay.
done that before. But we've continued. Our goal in the clerk's office is to be the most customer-focused, cost-effective clerk's office in the state, and I think we achieved that. We've continued to lower our head count, that's our main expense is people, and we've continued to lower that head count, provide even better service through cross-training of everybody that works at the clerk's office so they can fill in any role anywhere, and that'll come in next in this next resolution. And we've been able to continue to send more money back to the fiscal court to use that to improve our county year after year and term after term.
Yep.
I just want to say, Kenny, I thank you for being, focused on customer service and doing a good job and being conservative in your office. And, a lot of people, in the election time, they brag and talk about how good our elections are being run. So I just want to thank you for
We're trying, and we run our office like, you're a customer, not a constituent, not a taxpayer. You're a customer, and we try to take care of you like that and treat you like a customer. Treat you like you don't have to come in, basically.
Kenny, I think the constituents know that, and I think they appreciate that. And as a new court member, I appreciate it. And so, kudos to you and your staff.
Thank you. It's all staff. It's all them.
It's all about people.
I'm nothing without them.
Well, and I think for those that, that knew what it was prior to and other clerks' offices and things like that, I don't think previous clerks ever gave back to the fiscal court as much as you have. So,
Right.
I don't know any different.
Yeah.
So, but there might be some that do know what a difference that is.
Yeah.
There's one right there. Yeah.
Yeah, Glenna was around.
Yeah.
Instead of giving money back to the clerk at the end of the term, there's money coming back to the court to, like I say, to help you all make this county a better place to live in.
And each year and each term has consistently been more.
Yes,
Right. So that's good.
and we'll continue to do that.
Yep. Good work.
Wish we had more like you.
Well, thank you. Well, we do. Think about when I took office, what it looked like and how things ran, and I told anybody, the folks that I worked with then, I said, we're gonna polish our thing up so it's so shiny that somebody looks at it and says, well, how'd you do that? And we've gotten to where we are because of that. We've tried to lead by example and show that you can take care, like I say, customer focused and cost effective, not or. So we could hire 10 more people and there'd never be a line. But then our overhead would go through the roof. We've got to keep that in balance.
Do you still look for areas to improve?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, you have a culture of continuous improvement.
Yes, sir, and it's in our office, but we're hamstringed by statute and regs. So because I've got the staff that I do, that if I vanished tomorrow, all they would miss is me signing documents. The office can run on its own. I don't have to be there every day to tell everybody what to do. They know their jobs and they do them and they take care of it and they care. So that frees me up to be involved in the Clerks Association with legislation, trying to get things changed that are in our way. I've got signs I made hanging in my office says, if we don't get the world out of our way, who will? We have to go to Frankfurt to make those changes in the statutes for the customer because the customer can't do it themselves. One of the big ones that falls in with this is being able to renew your car online, by mail, or in person for the same cost. There's a credit card fee in there, and there's a postage fee in there. There's no reason for that. Our biggest expense is paying people to sit at a counter and wait for you to come in and renew your vehicle. Nobody would run their business like that. So we've got to, that's one of the big obstacles I've been working on for a long time, this election legislation. Because of the pandemic, it opened the door and allow us to make changes that we were working on here in Madison County 6 years ago with vote centers. That's the kind of stuff I'm able to do because I've got good people back in the office right now that are keeping the thing running.
And like with
It's a
elections,
long answer, yes.
when it's like with the elections, you know, the relationship with like the new election machines and making the election process easier. You know, that was a partnership. That was an investment
Yes.
by the fiscal court to help get us there. And what we do that? We started that 5-6 years ago.
Yep.
You know, and so we're getting there.
Yep.
I think to your comment, Billy Ray, there about continuing to improve and be efficient, I think the next resolution you'll see that's another step in being more efficient.
Yep.
You know?
Do more with less until you do everything with nothing, then start over somewhere else.
Yep. All right. Any other comments? All right, we do have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2023-01, which is the county clerk's budget. And Kenny, if you don't mind, just go ahead and read what your budget is. I think it'd be good for people watching,
All right.
for our
The,
taxpayers, for our media, to know what that is.
Well, the estimated, and most of our budget is a complete pass-through. We collect taxes and we distribute those taxes to like the school board and other taxing districts and fiscal court. The calendar year for, the estimated receipts for the calendar year, $2,128,047. And the estimated funds available, of course, are $2,128,047.50. That is, again, that's the estimated numbers on both sides. We try to get as close as we can, and we've gotten really good at over the years of estimating what we're going to bring in each area. We can't tell if everybody's going to come renew their car or pay the taxes on their car. Delinquent taxes, we collect those delinquent taxes after the sheriff's department. That's continued to go down every year because the plan that was put in place in 2008 is worked. People are now paying their taxes before they go delinquent because of the penalties and fees. So, like I say again, most of that it's just a pass-through.
And that's just your operational budget.
Yes, yeah.
So your total budget is
Total budget's 20-some million, yeah.
it's $28,207,500.
Right.
I mean, that's where a lot of that's passed through.
Yep.
But you were just talking about just your operational
That's our
budget.
operational budget, yes.
Yep. Yep. All right. Any questions? All right. Hearing none. Call the roll.
Master Combs,
Yes.
Master Lockmiller,
Yes.
Master Hughes,
Yes.
Master Botkin,
Yes.
Judge Taylor.
Yes. All right, next, Resolution 2023-02. This is the Madison County Clerk's office space renovations. Kenny? You do have this resolution, correct?
Yeah, let me catch up. A resolution of the Madison County Fiscal Court to approve renovations to the Madison County Clerk's office space. Whereas the Madison County Fiscal Court is required to provide necessary funding to the County Clerk's office to operate and perform its statutory duties, and whereas due to the upcoming renovations of the Madison County Courthouse, the Clerk's office will need to relocate. And whereas County Clerk Kenny Barger wishes to relocate his office and staff to 321 North Madison Avenue in Richmond, Kentucky, and whereas the building requires renovations to accommodate the clerk and his staff, and whereas the Madison County Fiscal Court will follow procurement code of the cost of the renovation project as outlined in the 2023 Administrative Code, which consists of using small purchase procedures, multiple quotes, for contracts that do not exceed $30,000, and advertising an invitation to bid for any in excess of $30,000, and whereas the total renovation costs are not anticipated to exceed $300,000. Now therefore be it resolved, the Fiscal Court does hereby approve the resolution and authorizes the Judge Executive and his or her designee to execute the same on behalf of the county.
All right, thank you, Kenny. Y'all have heard Resolution 2023-02. Do I have a motion and a second to approve?
Yes, motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? I know with the new court members, we've got to remodel the courthouse. I think everybody's pretty much aware of that. And so part of that whole shuffling around would be relocating Kenny down to Madison Avenue. And part of that fit up would be fitting it up for his operation.
That's the existing building that we own down there that he's going to go into,
It
right?
is. Mm-hmm. Yep. The real estate appraisers group used to be in that space. Well, of course, before that was codes and planning and IT. And we did a move around several years ago, and the real estate appraisers were going to move back to Frankfurt, and I finagled it to where they stayed here and moved down there so that we weren't losing that rent. But then after the pandemic, I think people in leadership in Frankfurt saw that people that are employed in that operation could work from home a lot more, and so they actually moved out back in July. I think it was their last month, and so that freed up that space to make it. And Kenny and I started working together on a design to make sure that it would work for his team, his operation, and so we're excited about the plans and how, Kenny, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about the renovation and how the design of the footage is even going to be more customer service friendly and cross training your employees. And
Yep, it is. I'm joining a short list of clerks that moved to Madison County. There's only been 3. One because they moved from Milford, and the second was David Irvin, and he was on a little log cabin on the corner of 2nd and Main, and it caught on fire. So nobody's ever done this because they want to. We've got a lot of stuff to move, relocate, re-educate customers about where we are and how we're doing business. We've been in the courthouse, 200 plus years. But because of that renovation and because of the opportunity we've got to redo the courthouse and take care of her, this has to happen. We looked at several places in Richmond, commercial real estate, that had adequate parking, adequate space to handle our flow of customers. Those spaces, there were plenty around 3,000 square feet, and then it kind of jumped to 13,000 square feet. That was going to be an expenditure from our office of about $120,000 a year. And then you're getting in the commercial real estate business where you're signing either a short lease and you might have to move again, or you're signing a very long lease and you might not need to be there. Or after that lease is over, they might raise the rent 50% because they know whoever we rented from would know they had us over a barrel and we would not want to move again. So Reagan brought this space up, and it's 3,000 square feet. Right now we occupy about 10,000, and that's not all used space. There's a lot of empty space in that, but we really use about 6,500 to 7,000 square feet. So this is a big change for us. I've told everybody in our office it's going to be like going to summer camp and staying in the bunkhouse. Everybody's going to be, when you walk in the door, you're going to be able to see every human being that's working in there because we don't have any hallways. We don't use any wasted space in this space. It's going to be all counter space. But we mentioned cross training and being able to serve the public better. The customer's going to won't have to know what room to go into, that kind of thing. They're going to be able to come in and get served right there at the counter, no matter what they need, whether it's a passport, marriage license, license a car, recording a deed, whatever. We're going to have all that space set up for that, and that accelerates our cross training. Because right now we send someone to a certain room to wait to learn how to do passports. Well, they sit there for a week and only one passport comes in. So now we'll be able to move that group to that person so they can take care of that passport, and it's just going to really speed up our cross training. I just could not, with good conscience, take that much money and put it in the private sector when we could come up with another solution in a county-owned building that relieved us of the liability of renewing a lease in 5 years. Because, like I say, if I were the one on the building, I'd say, well, I've got them. They're never going to want to move again. I can bump them 10-15% a year, and they'll just have to live with it.
Have you got a layout already?
Lord have mercy.
I'd like to look at one of these days.
We've been doing layouts. I've been remodeling since I took office 12 years ago. And we haven't done a thing yet because there's always been something else on the back burner, something else going on. The folks in motor vehicles right now in Richmond are sitting behind counters that were put in 1983. We have done a whole lot with what we've got. with just remodeling, changing things around, improving flow just with what the counters we've had and everything. So, but yeah, we've been through, I don't know how many revisions just on this latest project. Yeah.
And that's the cheapest, construction is on paper.
Yep. Oh, yeah, you gotta get it right
Change orders
beforehand.
after you get started, it's where the
Yep.
money.
And this 300,000, this is not because we're moving to a county, this 300,000 would have gone into somebody else's building. We would be handing this 300, we'd be putting our money into a privately owned building that we would never,
Yeah, there would have been
Repeat
a
benefit from.
fit-up expense no
Yeah.
matter where we went.
no matter what we did. So, you know, we're investing the money for the clerk's office to run in another building that that we own.
A big challenge be informing the community, because they're not, you know how it
That's right. Well, that's
used to come to that courthouse.
another advantage. Yeah, we still have people that come to the courthouse to pay their property taxes.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's been 20 years or so, I think, they've been out. But the other advantage is the proximity of this. It's not, you can't see it from the courthouse, but it's, you know, blocks away. And we're gonna have signage at the courthouse during the reconstruction, when they're remodeling. We're gonna have signage pointing the way down to, we're gonna do everything we can to make sure that folks, once they get there, because we can't talk, because I could be on the news if Channel 27 would be on the news every night, but people aren't gonna think about it until they go to renew their vehicle. So we're gonna have to have a lot of signage at the courthouse to point people the right direction to go to.
Kenny, where do you plan to put the, all the records in the archives down in the basement?
What the true archives that are in the basement are gonna be in the basement of the new building,
She's moving racks and everything.
where the
Old
where the old solid waste
there.
office is there. It's already walled off, and it's, because we already store election equipment down there too. That's where all our election equipment's stored. The majority of our books are never touched. We're gonna move all those books over to the basement of the family court building and store them there, because everything we have is scanned in when we record it, it's on computer. And there's a whole other, I won't go into it, but there's a whole other process right now that we're back scanning. We've been back scanning for 3 years. And we worked with all the parties involved, the attorneys, bankers and everything last year to create statute, because the pandemic shut down a lot of those industries in counties that were closed. So we're forced to, we got deadlines to meet to get 60 years worth of our documents scanned and online, so you can view them from somewhere other than the clerk's office. So every book we scan is another book we don't have to have on a shelf down there, which saves a whole lot of space and in turn a whole lot of money.
Yeah, good.
Any other questions? Any other comments, concerns? All right, we do have a motion and a second for Resolution 2023-02. So if there is no more discussion, call the roll.
Master Lockmiller,
Yes.
Master Hughes,
Yes.
Master Biken.
Yes.
Master Combs,
Yes.
Judge Taylor.
Yes. Thank you, Kenny. Appreciate it. Next, Resolution 2023-03 is the Madison County Sheriff's 2023 budget. Sheriff,
Good morning, everyone.
Sheriff, do you have the resolution?
No.
Okay, let me read it and then. A resolution for the Madison County Fiscal Court to approve the Madison County Sheriff's 2023 budget. Whereas the Madison County Sheriff's presented the Fiscal Court with the 2023 budget, and whereas the Madison County Fiscal Court is required to approve the Madison County Sheriff's budget annually. Now therefore be it resolved that the Fiscal Court does hereby approve the Madison County Sheriff's 2023 budget and authorizes the judge executive and/or his designee to execute same on behalf of the county.
Motion to approve resolution 2023-03, Judge.
All right, have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second?
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Well, at this point, Sheriff, you go ahead and give your presentation, then I'm sure we'll have discussion.
Okay. Well, like I said, good morning. First of all, I'd like to congratulate our new fiscal court for the next 4 years. I look forward to working with everyone, re-elections and new elections. That's pretty good when we have 3 new magistrates. The sheriff's office for 2023, This is the largest budget that in the 12 years that I've been at the sheriff's office with Sheriff Jerry Combs and as his chief deputy and myself, this is the largest budget that we've ever had, ever asked for. Our society's changed. A lot of things have changed. And this is one thing that I want to kind of bring to everybody's attention today. When you look over our budget, and I think everybody's got a copy of our budget, when you look over it, I think that you will see that the biggest thing that stands out is the payroll. And what we're asking for in that payroll is $5,000 pay increase for our full-time officers and full-time people that work there. Be another $4,000, I think, for 4 different office people, and then the $15 pay raise for the court security people. This is, like I said, this is a big pay raise, but it's a needed pay raise when you look at the entire state. You know, everybody's short officers. We want to retain officers. We want to keep the people that we train and spend money and uniform. We want to keep those folks, so we have to bring our money up. And this pay raise, like I said, is a $5,000 pay raise. It brings our starting salary from $45,800 to $50,800. If you look at the state police, they just received a $15,000 pay raise. The city of Richmond, they start their people out starting out around $56,000. Berea starts theirs out around $54,000 to $55,000. So this $5,000 pay increase is still not compared to what they are. January the 7th, this came out in the Richmond paper. It is join the best police officers, 500 yearly. After the academy graduating, 55.8. 12,000 incentive pay. This is what we deal with when we're an agency like the Madison County Sheriff's Office, trying to retain people. This is Bowling Green. You know, Madison County is one of the areas that has a lot of training. We have the KLEC, DOCJT. All these things take place here. They're going to hit this area here. Well, it's hard to retain our people when we're paying actually $40,500, and then we add the CLEP on it, then it makes it $45,800. When you have other agencies within the same county paying a lot more, $5,000 to $15,000 for starting pay compared to what we pay. So that's one reason we're asking for a pay raise. The county last year, our budget, like Kenny's budget, is an annual budget. It starts in January. The county's budget starts in July. Last year, we did get a pay raise that brought our people up to the $45,800. Shortly after our shortly after our pay raise in January, the county gave $2 per hour for their county employees, and then a few months later at the annual, or their biannual budget, they received a 7%. So what we're trying to do is just trying to stay within the area. I don't expect to be the highest paid police agency in the state or this county, but we have to pay our people. These people are the ones that protect and serve. They have other duties that they do that's mandated by the state that the sheriff has to do. We're known all over the state for our work. We've got great people, dedicated, loyal. They deserve this pay raise. And that's what I'm coming to you today with this budget request. And still, starting people out at 50,000 is not going to be like what we still have with Brill, Richmond, and the state police. I spoke with the judge about somewhere down the line where we can work more together and try to get established increments or pay raises across the board for all county employees, including the sheriff's office, where we can all be on the same page. The second biggest part of our budget, our line items, will be that of cruisers. This is something worked very hard with Scott Shepherd. The county garage, they maintain our vehicles, keep our vehicles going. I did a little list. We have about 52 vehicles, I think all total. We have some vehicles that have been given to us either by the ambulance service or by the U.S. Army. We have vehicles that we use and try to utilize in inclement weather. Some of those vehicles, when you do need them and you do have to have them, you have to spend money on batteries, different things like that to get them up and going. We still utilize those vehicles, but we have, 5, 10, 15, we have 16 vehicles that have less than 50,000 miles. And then we have approximately 52 vehicles, but everything else is going to have from about 50,000 to 175,000. Then we have about 6 that's in the range of 200,000 or more miles. Our vehicle maintenance this year, where the court allowed us to get 5 cars, I think it was last year, our vehicle maintenance dropped this past year. So we're looking for 5 SUVs this year to help maintain our maintenance. Our maintenance figure this year is held at the same at 55,000. And Scott's team at the county garage, they're the ones that do the work and work on that for us. These vehicles have gone up from last year. We buy them by the state contract. They have gone up quite a bit, each car. We've tried pricing through Ford. We've tried pricing through Dodge. Dodge doesn't even have the vehicle priced out yet. What we understand from Ford, they're up to 48 months, I think it was, for delivery. Just some of these things for the chips and things like that is just unbelievable. But we expect that delivery sometime in April, May, or June on the vehicles that we're asking for today. They are 45,620 each. They've gone up from last year. Installation and the equipment that's needed just for a basic cruiser is $20,692.46. So that makes $66,312.46 for each individual vehicle. And that's a total of $331,562.30. Like I said, we have some line items in this budget that are higher than last year. A lot of it I contribute to the fact that things have just gone up. We're keeping our vehicle maintenance the same. We feel like the addition of those 5 cars will help bring it and keep it the same. Our gas, our fuel, we added 30,000 more this budget than what it was last year. Last year, with the prices going up and going up and going up, our budget started the 1st of January of 2022. August amount, around the middle of August of 2022, we had exhausted our budget in our fuel. Our budget last year was $130,000. This year we've added 30 more thousand to take it up
to 160,000. When you look over the line items, there's one, and I will let, I brought along with me today Major Terry, my chief deputy, as well as Mary Margaret Allen, which is our finance director. If you have any questions in depth on some of these line items, I will let them try to answer them. But one is, I think line item is 28,000. That's something that we've been wanting to get into for a long time, and that's our accident reconstruction. A lot of times we will have a fatal accident in Madison County, and we have to wait on the state police, or we have to wait on someone to come from another county or get freed up to come to help assist us in working these accidents. Major Terry hooked up with Election Metro to get our 2 officers trained free at no cost in this accident reconstruction, and the equipment that we have to have for that is 28,000. So we put that into this budget, but it will be a great help, more professional in what we are, so that we can take care of business when we have a fatality or any type of crime scene. A lot of things that we could assist the other county entities in if they need help with this equipment that we are needing to purchase. It's a big budget, but I'm very proud of the Madison County Sheriff's Department. I'm very proud where we've been able to take it. It's your all sheriff's department. It's the county sheriff's department. Not only do we do the initial things that the sheriff has to do by statute, but you know, we've been able to have an investigative unit now. We have a drug unit that has been very valuable to Madison County. We're also very strong in a K-9 unit. We're dedicated to doing what we have to do, and I'm proud of it. There's a lot of accomplishments, achievements that they've been able to do, and the professionalism shows in the accreditation that we've been able to receive twice over the last 10 years. So hopefully that you all will look and be taking consideration that these are needs. They're not wants, but they're needs. I can't help that Madison County is almost 95,000 people. You know, I can't help that it's bordered by 7 counties. And we have 1,169 highway miles, 443 square miles. It's a big county. And it takes a lot more than what we've got to really make it work in police. And we've got an excellent ambulance service here in Madison County. We've got a lot of other great agencies that work and assist us. Just hearing Kenny talk, you know, all of us work, Scott, all of us work together as a team, and we're proud to be part of it. So if you have any questions, I'll let Major Terry or Mary try to answer anything.
Thanks, Sheriff. Appreciate it. Any questions about the sheriff's budget from members of the court?
Yeah. You know, it's first meeting for this court for a lot of new guys, and this is a pretty big issue. Because I look at the budget, and you know, I'd love to have this much money to give to the sheriff, because they do a great job. I just don't think we can come close to affording it. If I look at you know, previous funding for the sheriff, it's more than doubled in the past 2 years what we've given to the sheriff. It's, you know, it's more than doubled. And if I look at our, you know, based on my limited understanding of our financial condition, we'll run out of money pretty quick if we keep spending more than we're bringing in. So you know, I know that your income from the tax collection's been going up some, I mean, cause property valuations, and that's been going up, and that's, your two big revenue streams is from the fiscal court and from tax collections. And they normally run pretty close to what the county, what you get in tax collections and then what the county supplements you, but this is really climbing, and it's just it's a big pill to swallow. I wish we'd had a little bit more time to maybe discuss this, but it's I wish we could afford it, but I can't see it. I just can't see it.
Sheriff, what is the timeline on your budget? When does it have to be approved?
Today?
Today? So there's
It has to be turned in by the 15th. So, yeah. So, it always is presented to the fiscal court the first meeting because it has to be to Frankfurt by the 15th. And if not, then they don't obviously have a budget to work under till we approve. Same way with Kenny's budget.
I mean, they increased 40% over last year's contribution. I mean, that's a big jump. You know, almost double what it was 2 years ago. Just a lot of money.
I guess one question I do have, to the sheriff or Tony, do you all see any possibilities in the future of your revenue growing through fees, or it looks pretty flat over the last several years? I don't know if there's any possibility of collecting more fees and.
Well, we collect our money. Kenny mentioned it earlier, 70,000 population or more, we're more or less considered to be a fee county. Madison County, our population, which is over 70, it's 93, 2 or 95. Our money comes from the things that we do, such as eviction notices, civil papers, criminal papers, any of the court processes we get a fee for, we get paid for. Vehicle inspections, by law, you get $5 every time you inspect a vehicle. If you go to someone's residence in Madison County, you go to Toyota or wherever you go, you get a $10 trip fee. If you go to Toyota and they want you to inspect 50 cars, you get $5 for every car you inspect, but you only get $10 for making that trip out there. Now, if you leave and then you come back 2 hours later, you charge again for the trip fee and the $5. If someone comes to our office, which is constantly do, we get $5. Carrying concealed deadly weapons, we get a fee for that. We have those type things that bring and generate money in. That's where we get. If the constables go out here and serve papers, that takes money away from our office. Because we usually get that money for doing that. It's hard for any county or any sheriff's department. Here in Madison County, we do what we have to do by law, by statute. What a sheriff is supposed to do, then we turn right around and we provide the law enforcement too. There's just not enough law enforcement. If we pull out and just, only thing we do is serve papers and inspect vehicles and just work the courts, that's the other part of it, is working the courts for court security. Now we have 8 judges, we have 3 district judges, we now have 3 circuit judges, and we have 2 family judges. That's a heck of an expense for Madison County, for the sheriff's office, to have 3 different locations that you have to secure. If you had one judicial center, you wouldn't need half the court security people. But unfortunately, we have 3 locations. There's certain things that comes up that we can't control. We had one gentleman in one case, this summer, spent, 2 months at UK. We had to have 24/7 coverage on him. I mean, you know, certain things cost. There's a lot of things that we have no idea until that next day comes, what is gonna be taking money out of our budget. So like I say, we have a way of bringing in money, but we have a lot of money that goes out. And, you know, like, we have to have vehicles. That's what these guys have to get around in. There's numerous times our people's gone on calls and rode back in the wrecker, bringing their cruiser back because they couldn't make it, their car broke down. We have to have vehicles. You have to pay your people. You have to pay your people to keep them. Now, you know, I don't know what else to say, other than I'm elected as sheriff of Madison County. I'm elected to protect and serve, and, you know, you all are elected, to do what you have to do, so.
The fiscal court primarily means money. I mean, you know, that's our biggest, is taxpayers' money, so that's what that's where I'm.
Well, I think we've been good
Well,
good
you've
stewards
been,
of
I'm
taxpayers'
not
money.
criticizing you, I'm just saying, what can we afford, and I'm
Yeah,
looking
I
at what I.
understand.
Well, I think as a fiscal court though, and we've had this conversation even with the previous court, is we have to decide as a court, are we gonna support law enforcement? And when I say support it, financially support, to have law enforcement presence out in the unincorporated limits of our county. You know, the state police is manpower is not what it used to be, and it's continued to go down, which has continued the sheriff's department's manpower to increase to the point in Madison County where state police doesn't work third shift. They have an agreement with our sheriff's department where we work third shift. And so we as a court have to decide, are we going to, in my opinion, this is a little bit of an unfunded mandate that passes down through the state, indirectly. I mean, it's the way I look at it. That we can decide that we're not going to financially support to have a law enforcement presence out in the county, and then it push it to our legislative body to say, hey, you're going to have to get more troopers that are policing our county, or we're going to have to make the decision that we want to support that and make sure that our citizens are safe.
Judge, is there when we look at that's not a mandate of our sheriff's department, but it's something that they're currently doing to provide law enforcement into our county, do we know exactly how much, or somewhere close as to what that dollar amount is that we're spending that we're not mandated to spend?
I mean, you could go down through the budget, and I mean, I would need help with Mary Margaret because some things are probably lumped together. But I mean, for instance, if you're not providing law enforcement a presence, I mean, a few of those, I mean, you just take the deputy's gross salary
Or the fuel?
the deputies, the majority of the people that are under that line item, which is 1.909 million, would be those officers that are out there actually doing law enforcement work, detectives, our canine units. I mean, all those would be included in that. So, I mean, you know, typically in the past, before we've gotten to where we're at today, this is before I was here. I mean, the fiscal court, Billy Ray, you were here before. Typically, you didn't give the sheriff's department, you know, any extra money, but it was because you had a law enforcement presence. I mean, I think right now with state police officers, for our post, the last number that I had was 1.4 troopers per shift in Madison County. Our county's a big county. I mean, to only have 1.4 troopers in our county policing, I mean, that.
So is this in your mind, Sheriff, is this $250,000, I'm not asking for an exact number, but I mean, what kind of dollars would come right down to zero if we did not do law enforcement? And I'm not suggesting that I'm not for that, but I'm saying we have additional costs that we've taken on with our agreement with the state police, with our court and citizenry wanting law presence out into our county. It's obviously raised our expenses. Is it a big number? It seems like to me it would be at least $100,000 or $200,000, if not more.
Oh, if I had to guess,
That's all I'm asking for.
if I had to guess what the law enforcement cost is of this budget,
No, of just the overage that where we're taking the place of the state troopers that no longer do it. In other words, our sheriff department has picked up with a handshake agreement, as I understand it.
well, but I'm not saying the sheriff's departments in the past didn't do law enforcement, but it wasn't we weren't the primary law enforcement.
Right, but we've picked up a lot, right?
Well, I would say that it'd be a couple $1 million.
Okay.
At least.
That's
out of
all I
this
was trying to
budget
get somebody to tell me
that would
what
be
to the
towards-
magnitude.
That would go towards law enforcement expense. I mean,
Yep.
but I mean, we could.
No,
we
you've
could
answered
go
my
through
question.
That, we can't go through it right now, but
Right.
we could go through that and get you that information.
No, you've
Pretty easy.
given me an idea, and that's what I was looking for, was more of an idea as to the additional expenses that we've had to take on as a sheriff's department in our county due to circumstances.
I mean, you gotta think, the sheriff's responsibilities, and he alluded to this, but it's court security, serving papers, and collecting taxes. He has a revenue stream. Now, it doesn't make it whole, but there's a revenue stream for each one of those duties, right? He gets paid to collect taxes. He gets a percentage of whatever tax is collected. He gets paid. He gets paid to serve papers. He gets reimbursed. It doesn't make us whole, but he gets reimbursed for court security. I mean, so there are revenue streams that are set up in statute to cover those constitutional duties that he has. The law enforcement piece is not, there's nothing that has a revenue stream, which goes back to then we as a court have to decide, do we support the law enforcement duties that they are currently doing? Or do we not? Or a portion thereof, or, you know.
I've got another question, Sheriff, or Tony. In business, and I know I know you're not business, but I also know you have to run it like a business sometimes. These are your wants, and I heard you say these are your needs. Is there anything that you could, in compromising with the fiscal court, come back and say, you know, we could probably do without this if we had to, but we don't want to? Is there anything there at all?
Well, like I spoke earlier, the pay raise is the biggest amount in this.
But Sheriff, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I think we need to hit on this pay raise. So there's an effect of the legislature making a decision last session to give state police officers $15,000 increase. Now, I'm not sitting here saying today, and Blake, if you put this in the paper and quote me wrong, I'll be upset. But
You can quote him wrong on anything else, though.
I'm not saying here that state police did not deserve a $15,000 raise. I'm not saying that at all. I'm thankful for our state policemen. But there's consequences that come down from that to local governments. And we're talking about that consequence of the effect that the legislature made on that raise, right? Now what's it doing? It's making the city of Richmond, they're having to increase their pay, right, to stay more competitive. It's market driven. Now the sheriff's department, we're having to increase our pay to try to stay competitive. And I wonder sometimes is, and I'd love to know the exact numbers, but I think we talked the other day, Tony, about that state police should have about 1,100 troopers statewide, right? And we have 700. So it's a lot easier for the legislator to make that decision to give $15,000 raise when they're 400 troopers down from what their having to have. And then again, here we are as a sheriff's department having to increase our manpower to make sure our people and our citizens are safe, because we're elected to do this, to make decisions that protect and serve our community. And these are some of these unfunded mandates that get passed down to us indirectly, that ends up costing us money and us having discussions like this today. You know, and what if we said no? Would then the 95,000 citizens that aren't having law enforcement presence in our community, are then they going to be contacting their legislature and saying, hey, y'all got to do something to hire more law enforcement? You know, and I'm not sitting here with the answer. I'm just giving y'all a perspective. It's my perspective. Since I've been here, I have felt like I needed to support law enforcement because it was not getting done. But I was also green when I first came in 8 years ago and didn't realize what it was going to look like 8 years later. And 8 years later, it's Groundhog's Day. We're having the same discussion because it's an unfunded mandate. You know, where we ought to be is going to the legislature saying we've got to have some relief when it comes to law enforcement. You know, if you're not going to fund the primary law enforcement agency of a county is supposed to be, then where do we all need to be? We need to be lobbying in Frankfurt saying, hey, you need to be giving us some money, or bump up the state police where we can reduce some of that law enforcement that we're having to pay for a sheriff.
Well, I think you're right, Reagan, and I'd like to see us cohesively as a fiscal court make that one of our things that we do, but that's not going to solve our problem today. So, you know.
And the $15, for instance, you know, this is with the court security. Before this year, we would get reimbursed $9. So if a court security officer works for court, correct me if I'm wrong, Mary Margaret, but we only get reimbursed for hours that they work in the court, right? So if our court security officers have to show up at 8 o'clock to get prepared for court, and court doesn't start till 9, their reimbursement doesn't start till 9. But the legislature reimbursed $9. All right. Again, another challenge we've had, who wants to work court security for $9? So we've increased them, I think, to 12, Sheriff, several years ago. Well, we finally, through CAECO, through advocating in Frankfurt, we finally got the legislature to increase that fee to $15. So it went from $9 to $15 this year. But again, due to inflation and trying to get people to work and trying to give raises, part of this budget is that we're changing all those wages to 15, right? Whereas if we left them at 12, then we would be getting an extra $3 back to the fiscal court towards the reimbursement. And I'm not. Hey, we got to pay people. I agree with Sheriff. We had to do the same thing. But that's one of those constitutional duties that, you know, when you're collecting taxes and you put all those revenue streams together, you're probably going to come out a little bit to the good if you're just doing those 3 constitutional duties, right? You might be losing a little bit of money in court security, but you're making a little bit of money on tax collection, or you're making a little bit of money maybe on serving papers. And so it makes it even out. But what we're talking about today with the increase in this budget, it's been the same since I've been here. It's law enforcement. That's what we're paying for. And we as a court have to decide whether or not we want to support and pay financially to provide law enforcement presence in our county to combat the drug epidemic, to keep our community safe.
What comes down to what can we afford?
So,
If not all or none, to me, you know, it's been a tremendous increase in the past couple of years in funding request, and it's going to impact other services in the county. And we got other services that we got to fund too. The jail is primary, the road department, there are other services that have got to be funded, and when we start throwing this kind of money at, it's going to impact other areas.
Tom, do you have something?
Yes, I just want to say, Judge, I don't think there's anyone that's sitting up here that did not campaign on policing our county. I did. I've done it since day one. That was one of the primary things that I did, is to make sure that we had law enforcement presence in our county. It's unfortunate, I guess, that the main reason that we're having to do this, which has had very little discussion today, but has had much discussion in the past, but the main reason that we're having to do this is because drug cartels in Mexico and fentanyl that's coming in from China, they don't give a rat's butt about our budget. They're coming anyway. Those drugs are coming into our community and are killing our children and our grandchildren and our moms and our dads every single day. And unfortunately, again, a lot of that does not happen downtown. It happens out in the county. It happens out at the end of county roads. The majority of what the sheriff's asking for, again, is manpower. It's also good to know that, and we're talking about $500,000 here in manpower. We're also talking about $166,000 in benefits that go along with that. Not just the upfront cost, there's the backside cost of that as well. However, we've also got people on the HIDTA task force. We've also got a man on the DEA task force, all combating the very issues that we're talking about. There'll be a point in time coming soon where that the cost of labor will intersect with the cost of money, which at that point in time will result in one thing: less people. It's just a given. Fastest way to put money back in your budget is people. Bottom line. I, like you, Judge, and everybody else that's sitting up here in this court, are thankful that the legislators gave our state police $15,000 pay raise. Because Lord knows, with the number of people that they're down, they need it. And with the job that they do, they need it. But at the same time, and as well as that nugget out here looks so good, there's going to be a reverse effect on that people don't know about or haven't thought about. And that's between 2 and 3 years from now. There's going to be a bunch of senior state troopers who are going to punch out because their top 3 have now been boosted by $15,000. So what the hole is right now versus what it's going to be several years from now could even be worse. Still, at the same point in time, where do we draw the line at? When do we say, okay, enough's enough? Also in his budget, I don't think that he mentioned, was the fact that they added 4 school resource officers that was added on by the legislators. That was a mandate. We're very fortunate that the Madison County School Board has decided to offset that and reimburse that, $50,000 per officer. The one thing that they didn't see, that I did see in the budget, was a $35,000 increase in equipment, which is their weapons, training, ammo, things of that nature. That is a cost that I think that the school board should reimburse the county for. That's directly tied to those 4 officers. I'd like to see that money come back to us. That's a discussion we'll have to have with them. I, for one, until that point in time comes to where that we can no longer afford to pay them. It's coming. But for right now and today, I want to see our people get paid what they have to get paid to keep them here. Now, other thing that the sheriff's not talked about today that is not reflected in this budget in the $166,000 worth of benefits is the fact that we, I say we, the sheriff and Major Terry, because of their relationship, because of our past relationships with KSP, we're very fortunate that we are able to hire KSP retirees into the county. We have several that work for the county. Hey, guess what? There's a bright side to that. Here's the good news. We don't have to pay benefits. Here's another bright side to that. We get all their experience. We get all of their knowledge. We get everything that comes with a past career at KSP now in our county. So we're booming with the benefits that comes from that type of person. And I encourage you to please keep trying to get those people, because those are the ones that we can get. Those help us in our county with this very issue. We don't have to pay benefits to that, and we get all of that experience. Do I want to give, supplement that budget by that much money? No. Am I going to? Well, my piece for now is I'm going to support it. Because I want those people, I want our citizens, every single one. I've never been any place in the 4th District and somebody come up to me and say, Tom, we don't need as many deputies we got out here. We need to kind of dial that back a little bit. I don't want to see them guys driving in here in my neighborhood anymore. Nobody has ever come to me and told me that. So, Sheriff, I'm going to support your people for now. I think that the issue that was addressed earlier, I think that this, for me, this is the last budget where I will support a major increase in salary. Because from this point forward, in my opinion, I don't know how we're going to do it, Judge, because it's 2 different budget cycles. But we're going to have to figure out how to get your deputies tied to the CPI, whatever that is. You know, whether that you push it for 6 months or it's drawn in 6 months, but one way or the other, we've got to get on the same cycle where everybody gets paid, because this today will have an adverse effect in July when everybody else is going to say, well, man, all them guys over at the sheriff's office, they got a big pay raise. Why can't we get a pay raise? Well, wait a minute. You just got $2 an hour, $4,000. $2 an hour is $4,000. Plus you got 7% on top of that. So, you know, and the reason we did that, so nobody forgets, the reason we did that was to make everybody's pay as competitive as we could across the board, not within the county, but what we're paying out at Buc-ee's and every place else, just trying to keep our own people. We know for a fact that they'll jump for 50 cents an hour and leave the county road department and go to the state. We know that, but there's a point in time where we have to draw a line. Another thing that the sheriff did not bring up, that's not listed here outright in his budget, but if we have to hire a deputy straight off the street, from the time we put him in a uniform till we put him in a car, you're talking about roughly $155,000. We need to try to keep our people, if that's possible, to do that. So,
I want to say from my perspective, first, you're right. Retention is a whole lot cheaper than trying to rehire. Retention is the way to go, and it's going to be one of our friends as we move on forward to retain the good people that we have. I can tell you as a new magistrate, this healthy discussion was good for me. My wife will tell you I like healthy discussions, and I like to hear different perspectives from different people. And I have a high respect for everybody sitting on this fiscal court, whether we agree or disagree. But I appreciate the answers and the input from everybody. I too, as Tom had says and the judge has said, ran on a platform of supporting law enforcement, but without the heavy discussion and the healthy discussion, you know, I don't feel like I've done my job. I feel like I've done my job now, and I too am going to support it, but I support it with concurring with Magistrate Bachman over there, because we have a deadline today. You know, that was, to be honest with you, as a new person, that was oh, really? And maybe I should have known that. That's on me. It's not on anybody else. But we have to support them today, but we have to work towards a better future, whether that's paralleling the salaries as you're talking about, Tom, or finding new ways to be effective or whatever, but we have to protect our citizens. And
Well, and one thing I want to bring you up to speed on too is, and this is, you know, anything we do, we want to be a good partner. I'm always going to be a good partner with the other elected officials. We're going to work together for the betterment of this community. I'm going to work with outside entities. I mean, partnering with the state police. You know, when we first came in, where I first came in, you know, it was, hey, they're down, right? They're down numbers. We got to lift them up. We got to help them a little bit. Me and Tony and Sheriff talked many times about, hey, we use them a lot for the coming in and help us investigate, you know, specialty investigations, you know, and so that was a good partnership. Hey, we're kind of doing the day-to-day law enforcement. We got the boots on the ground out on our county roads and streets, protecting our community, and these special investigative stuff, you know, that's where the state police is coming in. They're kind of handling that part of it. But what, you know, and in this budget, what you see, and it's little by little, it's a little bit death by a thousand cuts. You know, now we're doing the car reconstruction, like we're investing in that, whereas it used to be the state police. And I think sometimes that we are so willing to do and more and more and more, we don't really maybe have those conversations with the entity that should really be doing those things. And that's just my opinion. I'm glad to be a partner, but a partnership is two ways. And I think for our county and for our sheriff's department, they've ultimately become the primary law enforcement agency of the county. And the group that's supposed to be the primary law enforcement agent of the county just keep pulling back services and duties, you know. It was good to drive over here this morning and see three of them sitting in the emergency lane there on I-75. And I'm sure that might be some special undercover stuff, doing drug stuff. You know, that's not technically a trooper that's out there actually writing speeding tickets. You know, I get all that. But there's got to be a better partnership. And that's what we've got to work towards. We've got to work towards a solution to this problem, because we all want to support law enforcement. We want our kids to be but at some point it can't keep going. 8 years ago, we gave $878,000 sheriff's department. So 8 years later, we're giving $2.536 million, and it's all due to law enforcement. So, any other questions? I know we've had a lot of great discussion. This is what fiscal court meetings are all about. We do have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2023-03. So if there's no further discussion, it'd be time to vote. So, any other comments? Hearing none, call the roll.
Master Hughes,
No?
Master Botkin,
Yes.
Master Combs,
Yes.
Master Lockmiller,
yes,
Judge Taylor.
Yes. Thank you, Sheriff. Appreciate you.
Thank you all. Thank you, court.
All right, let me get straight here now. And Blake, I don't think this was ever announced. You ready? 5.827-534.39. I don't think we ever said the full budget for the sheriff. So, you got it? All right, next is Resolution 2023-04, Kit Carson Commons Project. This will be the final payment. Glenna, good morning.
Good morning. This is a resolution authorizing final payment for the Kit Carson Commons project, whereas Madison County has been awarded Community Development Block Grant funds from the Commonwealth of Kentucky in the amount of $480,000, and whereas the expenditures of all CDBG funds are in compliance with the Kentucky CDBG Handbook, financial management policies, and applicable OMB circulars. Now therefore be it resolved, Madison County, as a recipient of the CDBG program funds by signature of the County Judge Executive Reagan Taylor, approves the following debts to be paid in full upon receipt of CDBG funds as drawn down from the Kentucky Department for Local Government or other payments that may be requested from other funding sources. Invoice number 8 to Fahi, line item administration, CDBG costs $3,000. The workforce project is 100% complete. This final administration payment is to close out Grant 18-054, a CDBG project. Be it further resolved that all expenditures have been documented and recorded and are authorized for drawdown from the Commonwealth of Kentucky in compliance with all state, federal, and local regulations. And we do already have the drawdown. It's ready to pay out.
All right, thank you, Glenna. Y'all have heard Resolution 2023-04. Do I have a motion and a second to approve?
Make a motion to approve Resolution 2023-04.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, it's been a good project, Glenna, so it's good for the community. So appreciate the partnership and we being allowed to be really the pass-through, so. All right. Hearing none, call the roll.
Master Buckin,
Yes.
Master Combs,
Yes.
Master Lockmuller,
Yes.
Master Hughes.
Yes.
Judge Taylor.
Yes. Next, Resolution 2023-05, approval of bond for Madison County Judge Executive. Glenna.
Resolution for the Madison County Fiscal Court to approve the bond of the Madison County Judge Executive, whereas KRS 67.720 states the Judge Executive shall execute a bond for the faithful performance of the duties of his office, and whereas the bond shall be a minimum of $10,000 with sureties approved by the Madison County Fiscal Court, which shall record the approval of sureties in its minutes. Excuse me. And whereas a record of the bond will be filed with the county clerk. Now therefore be it resolved that the fiscal court does hereby approve the bond of the Madison County Judge Executive.
All right. Again, y'all have heard Resolution 2023-05. Do we have a motion and a second to approve?
So move.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Thank you all. Any discussion? Hearing none, call the roll.
Master Combs,
Yes.
Master Lockmuller,
Yes.
Master Hughes,
Yes.
Master Buckin,
Yes.
Judge Taylor.
Yes. Next, Resolution 2023-06. This is a Madison County Road Supervisor appointment. Before we read this, a couple of these things here today, just for everybody's understanding, is these are new term things that we have to do at the beginning of a new term. So my bond has to be renewed. The appointment of a road supervisor has to be renewed. So that's why we're doing these things. Jill.
Absolutely. A resolution for the appointment of the Madison County Fiscal Court to the Madison County Road Supervisor, whereas the Madison County Fiscal Court is responsible for the appointment of the Madison County Road Supervisor the second Tuesday in January of an odd-numbered year to coincide with the new term of the Fiscal Court. And whereas on a basis of an oral examination and evaluation of experience, the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet has found Scott Shepard to be qualified for the purpose of County Road Supervisor for the County of Madison, Kentucky, in accordance with KRS 179.020. And whereas the Madison County Fiscal Court has found Scott Shepard as fit for the position as County Road Supervisor, Scott has and continues to do an outstanding job as the Road Supervisor. Now, therefore, it be resolved that the Fiscal Court does hereby approve Scott Shepard as the Madison County Road Supervisor for a 4-year term.
Motion to approve Resolution 2023-06, Judge.
Second.
All right, thank you all. Motion and a second. Any discussion?
I just want to say, the training that we did as new magistrates was very helpful, and, Scott came in and I echo this resolution. He does an outstanding job, working with IT and stuff and developing the snow tracks and all the stuff that they do. They're doing a great job, and we're glad to have Scott.
It goes back to that efficiency, man. I mean, all that same thing doing with Kenny. I mean, all of our team really utilizing those measures and always look for ways to be more efficient, provide better service to our customers, right, which is our citizens. So thanks for those kind words, Brian.
I will step in here and say something. Scott gets a lot of praise. They get a lot of praise for roads and taking care of the roads and that kind of thing, but that all falls back to maintaining the equipment and having equipment that's good. So when you came in, we had ragtag bunch of equipment. We've got just about all new snow plows, all new Chevrolet pickup trucks. Everything needs to be done, can be done. But that comes back to the other part of Scott's, what he's done is the maintenance for other government agencies at a cost savings to them. At the same time, it pays for the
A revenue
mechanics
stream for us, yeah.
that work at the road department that maintain the road department's vehicles. So it's saving other agencies money at the same time that it's paying to maintain our vehicles. It's a lot of work. Scott won't look up. He must be texting. I don't know. What you on TikTok?
I think he's embarrassed.
We don't have to do that. Scott can sit back with his feet propped up on his desk and say, well, just, have him go somewhere else and get worked on. It's just in labor, the cost savings is, $30-35 an hour, and there's no markup on parts.
Yep.
It's saving those agencies thousands and thousands of dollars a year by having that program.
Sounds up, Scott. Maybe we need to go up a little bit. Huh?
Scott, when I was traveling around with the sheriff, he was very complimentary of your services, and I know, having just gone through the sheriff's budget, that he appreciates you a whole lot because you save him, and he's much more efficient in his operations due to you and your department and your staff. So thank you.
It also helps us, Judge, that Scott was very effective in helping us not helping, but planning for the new trucks that we bought. And, not letting it stop there, but actually, when we first came in office, we faced a lot of bad equipment issues, but we were able to not buy it all at one time, but yet make a plan to buy new equipment along. Same thing with these cruisers. We had a ton of cruisers, but we've been rotating and purchasing new cruisers. People don't think a lot about it, but we're putting 40,000 miles or plus on a cruiser every year. It don't take long till you've wore one out. That's what you would think is still a pretty good vehicle. It's the same way with the trucks down there. So we do have a pretty good fleet right now and a decent plan to rotate those in and out. So we appreciate that. Thank you, Scott.
All right. We do have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, call the roll.
Master Lockmiller,
Yes.
Master Hughes.
Yes.
Master Buckin.
Yes.
Master Combs.
Yes.
Judge Taylor.
Yes. Next is Resolution 2023-07. Jill.
A resolution for the Madison County Fiscal Court to ratify the City of Berea's appointments to the Madison County Airport Board. Whereas the City of Berea Mayor has appointed 2 members to the Madison Airport Board with approval from the Berea City Council members, and whereas KRS 183.132 subsection 6 states the Madison County Fiscal Court is required to ratify each local agency's appointment to the Madison County Airport Board. Now, therefore, it be resolved that the Madison County Fiscal Court does hereby ratify the City of Berea's appointments to the Madison Airport Board, Inc. as follows: George Wyatt, a 4-year term appointment which will expire on January 16th, 2027, and Charles Conley, a 4-year appointment which will expire on January 16th, 2027.
Thank you, Jill.
Motion approved resolution 2023-07, Judge.
Second.
Have a motion in 2 seconds. Thank you all. Any discussion?
I'm very fortunate, Judge, to be a liaison to the court on the airport board up there, and I get to see these gentlemen there basically every month and see the work that they do, and I appreciate their time that they give out there and the things that they do and the improvements that have been made at the airport and improvements that are scheduled at the airport. Although people don't see it very often, maybe they drive by, maybe there's a lot of people in Madison County don't even know where the airport's at, but it's a key to our future, and I appreciate everything those gentlemen do for us out there.
Concur. Anybody else? All right, call the roll.
Master Hughes.
Thanks, Jill.
Yes.
Master Buckin.
Yes.
Master Combs.
Yes.
Master Lockmiller.
Yes.
Judge Taylor.
Yes. Thank you. Next, we're going to have a quick discussion. Scott had him come in to address the court when we talked about snow trucks and all that kind of stuff, and I think with everything else, these things have gone up as well. So we wanted to have a little discussion today with the fiscal court members about our snow trucks and our future of our snow trucks and plan and costs and that kind of thing. Scott?
First of all, I'd like to thank everybody on the court for their kind words, and Kenny was right. Yeah, I have my head down. I don't take compliments real well because I feel like that it's my duty to do what I'm doing. So, that's the reason of my reaction. The snow trucks, we all band together and decided to buy 10 3 years ago, and we got a lot of criticism over it. people thought, well, that's too much. You know, we shouldn't be doing this. We gave $119,500 apiece for those snow trucks. For the last 3 years, we agreed at that time we were gonna buy one a year. And that way our fleet wouldn't wear out at one time. Well, for the past 3 years, I've tried to order them and they tell me, no, you can't order one. So these trucks have not been available at all because of the computer chips, because of the pandemic, because of workforce. So I had an opportunity last week. I stay in contact with all these truck manufacturers, and International called me up and they said, we have had 3 cancellations. We can sell you 3 trucks. Me not knowing, you know, basically what this has done to our industry, I said, I need a quote. I need to go to the court and talk to them. You know, maybe we can back up and buy those 3 that we wasn't able to buy for the last 3 years. So they presented me with a quote, and if we order these trucks within the next 15 days, that's all he would hold the openings for me, because he says he's got a list he has to go through.
And Scott, these are on state contract, correct?
These are state contract. If we order these trucks within the next 15 days, we will get delivery of these trucks in December of 2024. If we do not take these trucks and we wait until next year's order list opens up, we will not receive our trucks till December of 2027. The quote is what got me on the trucks. And I've told the judge it's hard for me to swallow, but the new quote for the state contract price for an International truck equipped the same as the ones we paid $119,500 for is $226,333.95. So the truck has increased about 107%. So basically, I just wanted to bring that to you all, share it with you, ask you what you want to do. We have 10.
Scott, talk to a little bit, feed into talking a little bit about our fleet too, though. I mean,
Okay.
of course, we got 10 good trucks, right? Because
Yes.
we got new ones. Talk about our other 6. We run 16 trucks, right?
7. We run 17
17
big trucks and 2 pickups.
Okay.
The other 7 trucks, ages from 25 to 31 years old, miles from 120,000 to 250,000. At any point in time, we don't know when those trucks are gonna, you know, fall. The motors, with that much age on them, you've got seals deteriorating, you've got piston rings, you've got head gaskets, all that stuff with that much age on it. You're apt to lose one or multiple trucks during a snow event. The 7 that we have got are probably, you know, they're probably 5 years over the end of their lifespan due to the factors, the rust, the frames are in poor condition. We actually went out on this last snow event, had one go off the road, hooked to the frame come apart with a chain. It's just the way it is. I mean, it's the elements that they're in. So I really don't know where to go from here. I know that we are gonna have to do something, because we're gonna get to a point where we won't have enough trucks to do our routes. But I don't feel comfortable sitting here telling you that I wanna buy these 3 trucks and spend that much money. But it may be above me, and that's why I'm bringing it to you, because it may be something we have to do.
So we buy these 3 trucks now. We don't get them for 2 years.
December of 2024.
Yeah.
Correct.
Or we wait until 2027 if we put an order in the next time it's available to put an order in.
That's correct.
That's 4 years.
assuming
That's
that
4 years from now.
That's assuming that the supply chain issues don't change, because you know, we live in a society that operates on demand. It's capitalism, and so I can't imagine that this part shortage and vehicle shortage is going to continue indefinitely into the future. This thing's got to turn around. There's got to be, you know, is it over? Are the good times really over for good? Like old Merle Haggard used to say. I don't think so. surely this thing's gonna moderate.
If I could add
One
to
would
that,
hope.
and, you know, my extensive experience in the automobile business, I've never in my lifetime, or I asked my father, and nor in his lifetime, has a vehicle ever went up and come back down. So I don't see this getting better. I see it increasing from here because once they get it, they've got it.
Yeah, I don't think we even know to the extent of what all this is going to be over the next 5 years. I think we can make assumptions and things like that, but I think how the world will be 5 years from now, probably nobody in this room can project it and be on target.
Hey, 3 years ago, when we were getting criticized for buying them 10, we look smart now, don't we?
We look very smart. I wish we'd have got 20.
119,000 to 226, wow. We wish we'd have bought 17 then, hadn't we?
Yep.
Yeah.
How long out if you were to be able to purchase these, Scott, does that take you out over a few years that you would have a comfort feeling to be able to take care of our citizens?
Well, not really, because we're 3 years behind. You know, we were hoping to order one truck per year, and it was easier to swallow it, you know, at that rate. But now all we're doing is playing catch up again. So, you know, that if our trucks hold up, then yes, that does give us more spares, and I think we would be in a lot better shape than if we just had 10. So, you know, I think we would be in an improved position.
Yeah, our long-term plan for the county was that, you know, if we need 17 snow trucks, they're on a 20-year lifespan. So, you know, you're buying one about every year. Now you might jump a year, skip a year, whatever. I mean, that was the long-term plan, because we can't afford to up 20 years and buy 17 trucks, you know, all at one time. It's better to. Now you can if you want to go bond it and then pay interest and all that, but if you don't have to do that, there's no sense in wasting that money, right? I mean, again, it's about being efficient.
And we were going to play it, see how everything worked out as we have our pickup trucks. You know, Kenny alluded to us having new Chevrolets. Well, we said we were going to buy 2 new trucks every year until we replaced our fleet. Well, we done that for 3-4 years, and then I started seeing that we didn't need to do that. Our older trucks were holding up, so we went the last 2 years, I know, and I've gave that money back to the court. Or we bought a different vehicle for another department. So I'm not saying we're at critical stage, but we could be very shortly without ordering these 3 or 1 or 2 of them. I don't have to take all 3. I can take as many as you all want.
And the other thing we got to realize too, when it comes to snow routes, and when it comes to responsibility of the road department, we are a growing county. So we have a lot of development plans that go through planning and zoning and get approved, and then at some point those roadways come back to the fiscal court for us to take in, right, as maintenance. So the mileage of those roads it increases on a yearly basis, you know, and so, you know, it's not something that's going away. You know, we're not decreasing the miles of roads that we have to maintain. So over several years, you know, we might have a new route. We have to bring in a new road department employee to be able to cover, you know, when our county grows so much.
And if you look at our breakdown, and I can share it with any of you that like to come in the office, but it looks like about every 40 miles is going to take a truck. So if we add, you know, several subdivisions, then we're going to have to increase staffing and increase another truck for the purpose of removing.
Now, you said you had 15 days?
Yes,
We got 14 days till the next meeting?
I think so.
I mean, we could think about this and mull it over and vote on it next meeting?
Absolutely. I'm
Well,
not asking for anything
That was
today.
the plan, Billy
Yeah.
Ray.
I'm not asking for anything today.
We wanted to kind of get the pleasure of the court and bring it up today, and then we would bring back a resolution, whatever the pleasure of the court was. If the pleasure of the court was, hey, let's see how the cards fall a year from now, and then we wouldn't even bring back a resolution, you know. That was what we were hoping to get out of this conversation is what is the pleasure of the court?
I'd say whether we order them or not, we should take the days take the time to think about it, make sure we know all that we can know, so that when we vote or consider a vote in 14 days, we have all the knowledge that we can have to make the proper decision for Madison County.
Yeah, and Scott, when we talked about this the other day, we allude to the fact of the other providers or dealers. You know, you checked with we have Freightliner trucks right now, which we like. They've been great.
Yep.
But this
Can't order.
opportunity you've got is international.
Yep.
But will you talk a little bit about the other, like Mac or
Yeah, if we
Peterbilt?
if we jump up to Mack or Peterbilt, you're gonna automatically get into a triaxle truck. They're telling me those are going for about $350,000. It's something I don't feel that we need. You know, the triaxle trucks are harder to turn, they're harder on your roads, they will carry more weight, but I just don't think we need to take that kind of jump. And I've not checked with them, and I'm sure that their availability will be the same, because all these
But they don't even have a single axle truck that you could purchase. They don't make one.
not to my knowledge.
Yeah. And Freightliners you can't get right now, right? You can't even order one.
I've asked several times to order Freightliners, and they tell me that you can't even order a Freightliner.
As a new magistrate, and I don't want to draw this out, but just give me a sense for doing it yourself versus having contractors help you.
We did run a full analysis on that. The judge and Jill was involved, and they asked me to come up with that number, so I called independent contractors. And I'm not good on remembering numbers, but I think it was triple of what we're doing it ourselves for.
Well, you couldn't even get them to do it though. They wouldn't.
Yeah, they wouldn't do it, but they still gave me prices.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And the price factor was 3 times higher than our current estimate to.
I can't remember these numbers, but like the state transportation cabinet, just our local garage, you know, they contract out. So like the Allen Company and those trucks that are Three Rivers, I think, or something like that, is one of the contractors that they can contract
Petco.
them out. Huh?
Petco.
Petco. But they contract a lot of those people out, and it's like just a flat fee. It's like a
Just to reserve the truck. for
Just to
snow
reserve the
season
truck for
was
snow season. It's like
$120,000 a year.
yeah, it's
Yeah, I know several of those people that
Yeah.
do that. That's
Yeah.
why I was wanting to ask the question.
and then you have to pay them whatever the hourly rate is that they contracted for. You have to pay that hourly rate while the snow event's happening, and then you're still having to buy salt because those, you know, they go to the state's garage to get salt. So
Well, plus at the end of the year right now, if it's not gone up, they get $30,000 per truck.
yeah, it was something. It's just to be fit up. Yeah.
That was the same way with our mowing. We done all those analysis at the same time, and I'm sure I have that on my computer, but
You
it-
answered my question.
yeah, it was, everything was double or triple.
What I'd like to know, Judge, is the 10 trucks that we bought, we paid for those or are paying for those with the
We're paying for those. Yeah.
the LG&A funds.
Yep.
Where do you see funds for these?
We haven't got in. I mean,
We haven't looked at it yet, but we're also gonna have 2 budget years before these trucks come in, before the money's due, we're gonna have 2 budget years. So my suggestion would be to, if we do decide to do that, to go ahead and set aside in each budget year so it doesn't hit us as hard and we can look at the LGA, different sources of money, you know, because road fund's not got, you know, they get supplemented by the general fund. So it's gonna have to be the general fund, LGA monies, or maybe some other kind of monies that we can find.
I don't know, we didn't spend all the LGA money. I'm just curious if there was enough in there to cover that. For the long-
Not
for the
right
long
now.
range.
We have budgeted in this year, we have a little bit extra. We always try to keep at least 2 payments for the dump trucks. that
Chip
we
trucks.
reserve in the LGA, just to make sure that we always have that covered. And the other part was for equipment. We bought equipment, other road equipment out of the LGA.
and the other thing on our trucks is that we did it on a 10-year note. So, you know, our lifespan of our trucks, we estimate at 20. So I guess if it was 3 years ago, we got 7 more years of that, you know, so. Yep. Well, I guess, I mean, great discussion. This is, we gotta have, if you all wouldn't mind, in time, as y'all think about this, give us some guidance or direction of what we can bring back to the fiscal court to present to you all, next next court. If I don't hear from anybody, I assume that's a no, and so we won't have anything prepared for the fiscal court. So, is that okay? Is that good? All right. Thank you all for the discussion. Thanks, Scott. Appreciate it. Next is personnel. I missed my mark, Billy Ray.
Yeah, you sure did.
Yeah. Go ahead, Morgan. Good to see you.
Good morning. I would like to propose the approval of all the personnel changes and or new hires that are currently in your court packets and in Dropbox.
All right. Upon Morgan's recommendation, do I have a motion and a second?
So move.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, call the roll.
Master Buckin,
Yes.
Master Combs,
Yes.
Master Lockmiller,
Yes.
Master Hughes,
Yes.
Judge Taylor.
Yes, thank you. And congratulations for all those that are promoted or hired. I look forward to working with you. Next is judge's report. I'm going to try to make this somewhat quick. Just a few announcements of upcoming things that are going on in the community. Well, first and foremost, I want to welcome this new court, to their first fiscal court meeting for this term. I look forward to working with each and every one of you. I think we've already hit the ground running, showing that we're going to communicate and have good discussion and make sure that we manage the county business to the best of our abilities. So I appreciate you all and look forward to working with you, and I'm honored to sit here with you. So.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Judge.
The Richmond Madison County chapter of the NAACP will be hosting their annual Martin Luther King Day March. This march will be for the homeless on Monday, January the 16th, beginning at 1 p.m. Donations for the homeless, if anybody's interested, are encouraged. And if you would like to donate but not participate in the march, you can drop off your contributions at the staging area beginning at noon. Please see the Richmond/Madison County NAACP's website or Facebook page for more details. The Pregnancy Help Center Celebration of Life event will be Sunday, January the 22nd at 1:30 p.m. This will be, as normal, on the Madison County Courthouse lawn. We typically are right there on the front steps of the courthouse. Please check the Pregnancy Help Center's Facebook page for more information and updates. The Richmond Chamber's annual kickoff will be Tuesday, January the 24th. That'll be from 12 to 1:30 p.m. at EKU's Perkins Building. Learn about the vision of the 2023 Chamber. Visit richmondchamber.com for more information and registration. And I also want to congratulate our new, I guess it's called president, right, in that position?
President.
Huh?
I thought it was executive director, but it's president.
It's president, Colleen Spencer. So Colleen will be taking over the helm. I guess maybe already started, Jill. She started Monday. So congratulations to her, and I look forward to her leadership there at the Richmond Chamber. Madison County is proud to welcome the Boys and Girls 2023 All-A Classic basketball back to EKU Alumni Coliseum. This will be the All-A Classic tournament, and it'll start on Wednesday, January the 25th through Sunday, January the 29th. This always does increase traffic around the Eastern Bypass and around town. It is great for our businesses and bringing people to our community, but if you are a local and don't want to get into the traffic, you might find a different route in those 3 days to navigate the community. After a 2-year hiatus due to the pandemic, Fort Boonesboro is bringing back their February fireside chats every Saturday in February. Please contact the fort for a list of presenters and schedule. And then last but not least, for my report, our county courthouses and facilities will be closed this coming Monday on January the 16th for the Martin Luther King holiday. We will reopen on Tuesday, January the 17th at 8 a.m. Comments from the magistrates. Tom?
Just a couple things, Judge. First, I had a question. In the budget, I saw $104,000 for Morton Salt. Was that the restock from this last event? Right, you ran 3 routes? So we're talking about $30,000 every time a snow truck passes your house. You just want to keep that in mind. I also just wanted to mention that on our snow trucks that we bought, I saw a purchase for, actually it wasn't for that item, but that led to a discussion about those trucks that we bought, Judge, and I wasn't sure, so I called Scott and asked him, and we have a 5-year, 100,000-mile warranty on those trucks as well, just FYI. And thank you, Scott, I appreciate that. I had received several calls over the last week or so about trash pickup in different areas, about our roadsides getting in pretty bad shape, and they were right. I've seen them in the past, and they are. So I made a couple phone calls. Steve, I want to thank you for I called Steve, he's on vacation. Thank you for answering, Steve. But anyway, while he was out on vacation, he got prisoners associated with those roads and picked up. And the reason I'm telling you that, Steve, is I want you to know that people call me and sent me emails today to let me know that they had seen that and they appreciated that. So I just want to relay that to your people. They do appreciate that.
Thanks, Tom, and for all of the magistrates, when you get calls from your constituents, pass that on to me, let me know where the concerns are, and I'll get somebody on it.
That's always behind the 4th district, of course. He starts at the 4th, works there.
Hey, we can always encourage our citizens too to pick up trash.
Exactly right. That's
You know?
right. Last thing, Judge, I had is the state is mowing on slope mowing on Tate's Creek, which I have part of that. Magistrate Lockmuller has part of that. So just be careful, those folks down there. And they're also patching potholes on Lancaster Road today. So I had several calls about that. So just FYI for that. And last, Judge, if anyone needs me, they can reach me at 200-9765.
And Tom, I think they fixed that dip in front of Kirksville
And they
Elementary
fixed it.
School, man,
They
and
did.
that had to make a lot of people happy.
They did. They
Yeah.
fixed the dip there. I think I might have mentioned that the last, but if I didn't, we appreciated Brandon and them getting
Yeah.
out there and taking
Yeah.
care of that.
I do too. That was a bad one.
Yeah, it was
Thank you,
bad.
Tom. Appreciate it. Billy Ray.
Yeah, a couple of requests. I just thought I'd pass along. Total alert radios, the update on those, and evidently that's, I don't know if you know the status on that, but some folks have been,
Are you talking about the boxes that are in people's houses?
yeah.
Those things are coming in the mail. Go ahead, Jill. Give the update to the court or chief, either one.
Yeah, we were debating on who got the lucky privilege of giving an update. There has been some delays on those, but we do expect, we have most of those in-house now, and then our mailing company that actually sends those to the residences, we should start seeing those out in February. And so, as you all remember,
Dustin gave a report
Yeah,
a
he
few
gave-
months ago.
he did.
And there was something with
so if you
an
remember,
adapter or
there
a
was
charger.
not a charger block. So
Yeah.
just like your cell phone no longer comes with the little USB charger block, neither does your newly acquired Tone Alert radio. So we had to contract that out separately, and so we had to wait for those to get in, and so those all should be in during the month of January, and so we should expect those to hit homes in February.
Well, we had to go back through the bid process
Yeah,
too, if y'all
twice.
remember. You remember we had those I think we had three different bids, didn't we?
Yes,
And one of
and
them
they
was-
were
yeah.
incorrect and were
Yeah.
not following bid specifications, so we had to kind of go back to the drawing board.
Mm-hmm.
But all residents, this is important, so everyone will receive a postcard in advance of getting that at home this time. So that way, when something comes to your door and you know what it is going to be received, it's not suspicious package. It is a package that is meant for you. So everybody will get a postcard alerting them that, hey, you'll be receiving a package. Here's what it is. It's to keep you safe in the event of an emergency.
And we'll be doing a PR campaign on that as well at the same time with social media, our website, stuff like that, just trying to get it out to everybody.
Yes.
Previous.
Absolutely. And that's always where we can use your all's help too, is for you to communicate with citizens that that's what's happening. So when these things come up, you know, hey, this is what is happening. Here's the facts around it, and share that, whether that be on your social media or within your own circles of you're
Yeah.
going to be receiving this, because this is all funded through the federal CSEP program, and so we want people to utilize the resources that are being given to them.
Second thing, maybe you can answer this, maybe not. Question on, there's a lot of broadband expansion going on in the county, a lot of fiber optics being ran, and people are calling saying, well, what about my area? And where do I find out? Where do I find the answer to that, where the broadband, what the plans are?
So go ahead, Jim.
I was going to say, so you can call our office. Robin and Chris and I have gotten very good at putting every address in and returning those calls. We get, I would say, hundreds per week. But we do have a map that kind of outlines that as well. And so there is a lot of expansion going on currently. Windstream and Spectrum are both doing pretty big expansion projects as part of federal funding called RDOF. as well as the state funding called the KBDF. And so we know there's construction going on in those areas. That's about 3,000 people that are getting turned on over the course of probably about an 18-month period. But you can always, the easiest thing is to send us an email. I mean, and I hate to say that, if you get a request for a specific address, send an email to either myself or Chris or Robin or Clay White in our GIS department, and we can plug it into a map, and then we will get back with that citizen on which bucket of money they fall into and where they might fall into the plan.
And we also keep that information. We want to have that relationship, that communication with the citizen, because it's helping us identify who truly is unserved or underserved. The FCC data is terrible. Like, it's not accurate. And that's been part of our holdup in our process of presenting something, a plan for broadband expansion to this governing body that I'm sitting here with today.
Yeah.
We're working on bringing a presentation to this body in February. I'm hoping to have a work session in February where we would talk about a couple of different projects and present a couple different opportunities to this body. So.
But yes, this comes up a lot, and we know that there are gaps, and that's what our team has done over the last 18 months, is to identify what those gaps are, and specifically in what would be your district. We know that there's some gaps in specific roads. We actually got one this morning. So we keep up with every one of those inquiries, and so by sharing that with us, it helps us to, double check our data as well.
Good to know. Thank you.
Jill, let me ask a question while you're there, because broadband's one thing, and I've got a little bit of telecommunications in my background. So I think it's great that we're bringing the broadband out to our citizenry. But what about cellular coverage? What conversations have we had with providers of cell service in our county to take a look at the areas? I know I've got several in my district that just don't have good coverage at all.
I'll have to ask Chris or Judge Taylor. To my knowledge, we've not had specific conversations around cellular coverage. Obviously, we work with those providers. A lot of it's the same providers on broadband that it is with cellular coverage. We always are working with our first responders too on making sure that we're providing coverage for their radio system, and so that's where some of those things come into play. But to my knowledge, we've never had any conversation with specific wireless providers.
Do we think it'd be a problem or an issue or a concern if we did have one? Because if they know about it and they're hearing it from a government rather than from one individual that lives in an area, it might get a little more attention. And the second thing is, so much of our older population, they're not going to go on broadband. They're scared of it. Some of them,
I think you might be surprised.
But I had my personal experience from my dad said, get this daggone computer, I can't say what he actually said, out of my house. But there are some people like that, but most of them are now using the cellular when they can, because if they fall in their house, they can at least get a hold of emergencies. So I was just curious. I never heard it brought up.
It's not been brought up to my knowledge, and I think one of the things that you could help us do, if you have specific areas, I think we have learned this through the broadband process, is you want to go equipped to those conversations with data and factual data. And so before we went into a conversation with AT&T or anyone else, that's our favorite word, is data.
Data,
So I hear them laughing behind me. But that we would have, educated conversations with a provider, regardless if it's Verizon or AT&T or Appalachian Wireless or whomever it is, to say these are specific areas where we know that there's a deficit. And so I think in order for us to have those conversations, I think we'd need that.
And I think that's never been brought up to us either. I mean, other than you drop a call. I mean, I drive home on Boonesboro Road every day, and I'll drop a call there, because I guess there's some bad spots in the roadway, but I've never really had a constituents reach out to us about dropping calls more so than we have broadband. But it's definitely something that we can advocate for with these providers. Now, I don't know if it means a whole lot coming from a government because we've been trying to get them to put broadband in some places for 3 years, and they look at us like we're crazy. But I hear you, and any of that stuff that you get from constituents or areas feed us the information. We'll reach out to our liaison, whether that be with AT&T or Windstream or Spectrum or whoever it is, I mean, if we don't have a person, a contact person, then we can always reach out to them and figure out who that person is for us.
Yeah, and I think, I think the public needs to be aware that you are gonna drop a call. It's not a perfect system. But, so that's gonna happen, but where there's no bars on a phone or someplace where there's, maybe there's only 10 people that live there, you would hope that eventually they could get some coverage out into that area, but thank you.
Yeah. And in a post-CSEP world too, I mean, there might be some kind of partnerships there too with the infrastructure and stuff that we have, Right now, we can't really do that, but.
That'll
maybe-
be their biggest issue,
maybe
is
in
having
the
to build
future.
that infrastructure.
Because right now, our 9 tower sites give us 95% coverage with the radio. Is that right, Chris? Yeah. So, I mean, that's pretty good, 95%, so.
Before Jill leaves, I just want to ask a question off of what Magistrate Hughes was talking about with the boxes, new boxes that are coming out. They're also a new box, right? A different, smaller version than the ones that's out there, right?
Yes. Yes, it's an FM radio. I don't know if you heard Chris or not. It's an FM radio. And then
What do they do with their old ones while we're talking about it? Just go ahead and start the conversation.
There will be instructions that come along with their box, but Scott has partnered with our EMA CSEP team on a disposal process, so they'll have the ability to be able to drop those off and dispose of them in a dumpster.
It'd be our electronic box, probably.
There's 4 locations. Yep. So we've already got a plan in process, which is also part of the whole project that will allow for them to dispose of those.
Yep, it's good. Thank you. Billy Ray, you got anything else?
That's it.
Steve?
Well, first, I'd like to thank Judge and the other magistrates for your time and your cooperation and the discussions that we've had. And I'm not trying to, I'm not, this is not open record stuff here. I'm just talking about in here talking and everything. It's really helped me in my first opportunity to serve. And I wanted to thank each of you all, as well as the staff, as well as the training that we've gone through to get us to this point. So I wanted to thank everybody for that. The second thing was, Judge, and I think I may have mentioned this to you, but it's not like you don't get a lot mentioned to you. There's been several constituents call about trucks coming out of the Loves and going right instead of left and coming down on 2878 and hitting that tunnel and then blocking things up for at least a good hour or not because there's nowhere to turn around. I don't know, is that a state or is that a state road? So we may want to just mention to them, if there's not a glowing big sign that says no semis, there probably needs to be one.
No, there is.
They're just not paying attention.
Yeah, Steve, I've been fighting that battle for ever since really they put that in, I guess. How many years ago, Scott? 5, probably. So we had problems with truckers parking on the roadways. We partnered with the Sheriff's Department. I don't know how many times I called the Sheriff and Tony, sent guys out there to run them off the mercy lanes. But then we had transportation cap change to 3 lanes. And man, every entrance you come out of Love's truck stop, it says no semis, I-75 this way. I even tried to encourage the state down at the tunnel, because you got some flat area, is to take some of their excess spoils and dump down there and almost make like a cul-de-sac to where that, because you have that old spur of, I'm gonna call it Colonel Road, that keeps going off to your left, but you could make like a cul-de-sac almost if they did get down there, that they'd have room to turn around. But they wanted to try this first with signage and that kind of thing. So it's a little bit of a work in progress. I know that it's aggravation for our citizens, but we'll continue to advocate. Now both of us can continue to advocate with Transportation Cabinet to try to get that fixed.
Okay,
so
thank you.
Yeah.
And I would also say that to get a hold of me, it's 859-661-1086 is my cell number.
You didn't do that a minute ago.
You didn't know.
Yeah, he did it.
No, he didn't.
He did.
Yeah, he said.
You did?
You did? I missed it.
Well,
Muscle memory, he won't forget.
It was, yeah.
I didn't hear it.
My man.
I know it's been a long court meeting, and I will say that it is a lot different up here than it is sitting on that side. I've been coming for a long time, and we had some good discussion today. Tough decisions. For me, government is about life, liberty, and property, and our fundamental goal as government body is to protect our citizens. And so that's why I voted for the sheriff's budget. I think it goes towards protecting our citizens. We've got a long way to go. We've got a lot of discussion we're going to have because there's, it's a big pill to swallow a lot of times, but we'll get there. Larry always says, I'm glad to be here, Judge. So
I'm glad you said that.
Say today, I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here. Yeah. Appreciate you. Kenny?
I ain't gonna drag it out, but because I've got the
All right, well
opportunity.
then, Brooke.
Because I got the opportunity, I'm gonna bring up this, who is the law enforcement agency of our county and our state. Because it's kinda like boiling a frog. The frog don't notice until the water's so hot it can't stand it anymore. But it's been years that this has been inched back and inched back and inched back and inched back. When you renew a vehicle in Madison County, there's $21 you pay. $3 of that goes to other agencies. One of those dollars goes for technology for the county clerk's office. Well, when that money's not spent over the budget term, which is millions of dollars, it was always called, people told me it gets swept. The legislator sweeps it. Well, I spent 6 months trying to figure out what that meant because we had to have it to produce this new database, CAVIS, that's coming. It goes to state police cruisers. Money not intended in any way, shape, or form to go to anywhere but the clerk's office goes to state police cruisers because it's just cash laying in an account. We have got to start thinking about, it's just like in our office over the years, many times, well, why do we do that? Well, I don't know. Why do we do it? Well, that's the way we did it yesterday. We have got to start looking at new ways of doing things because I think Steve Jobs said the thinking that created the problem will never solve the problem. So Billy Ray's right. There's going to, and you all are right, there's going to be a point, a line you're going to hit where do we keep doing this and we cut back fire service? Do we cut back plowing snow? What's the citizen want? And I think it's time that it's got to start somewhere. That discussion does.
And that discussion's got to include the citizens.
Yes.
It's got to include our citizens to say, hey, what do you want?
But that discussion with the state and the legislature, just like right now, they're continuing to shift our taxes from, what we spend money on to what they're not paying it all up front. And that money, it's going back to the citizens, and that sounds great, just like this refund on car taxes a while back. When people figured it out, they didn't get much money back, and that money could have been used to better our state. That's the same thing that's happening now. We've got to decide what we want as a state, and this county's going to have to be, I guarantee there's nobody else in the state that had this discussion today about who the law enforcement agency is in the county and why the state police is not that law enforcement agency anymore.
I think being the 9th largest county in the state of Kentucky that we'd be a priority.
Yes.
Well, we're mandated to provide certain services, right? And anything outside that, at some point, that'd be the first thing to go to be able to pay for our mandates. And so if we're not having that conversation along the way, whether that be with our citizens, whether that be here in fiscal court, whether that be in Frankfurt, we're not gonna overcome this challenge is if we sit here today, make this hard decision, and then it falls on deaf ears from there, right? We don't bring it back up till next year. The work, to Brian's point, the work starts after we leave this meeting in planning for our long-term financial future, and if that means us having to go to Frankfurt or get reallocated, create a revenue stream to pay for law enforcement, if the state police or the legislature's not going to have them do it, I mean, something's got to happen.
When we go to Frankfurt for legislative day, that needs to be the top priority on everybody's list that we all talk to them about.
It's going to be hard to explain to them.
It will be.
They're not going to understand what you're even talking about.
Yeah. I somewhat tried to on Saturday, and that didn't go over very good. Didn't understand,
Yeah.
I mean, and it's not just Madison County in this. I mean, you can ask, y'all can pull Tony and Sheriff off the side. They've got conferences with a lot of their sheriffs across the state. I think it hit us sooner than it's hit some of these others, but I mean, this is kind of becoming a standard in across Kentucky. And I think, and it's also becoming more of a standard because you've got more retired troopers that are becoming elected sheriffs in their communities. And so they know law enforcement. That's what they're experts in. And they see the shortage and the want to protect their community. And so they're starting to put more. You're starting to see this come up to fiscal courts more, right? But again, it's death by 1,000 cuts, right? The legislators started cutting on this years and years ago, probably maybe even before we were even here 8 years ago. They started cutting. Well, man, now we're starting to see the bleeding, right? There for 8 years, we didn't see it. We didn't see the bleeding. So, anyway, I'm not beating a dead horse. What else, Kenny? You know you're done. Brooke?
I don't have anything
You
to-
good? Sheriff?
Well, I just want to thank the court. I know money's money, but I do want to reflect that our agency does a world of work here in Madison County. We're called upon many times to do a lot of things that's not even their job description. But we're proud to do it. You know, like I said, we're not the highest paid agency, and we probably never will be, don't expect to be, but I really do appreciate the court passing this budget. I just received a message on my phone to let the public and everyone know that the railroad crossing on Main Street, it's gonna be closed, I think, on Wednesday through Friday. So any emergencies or anybody probably wanna stay away from that area because they're gonna be doing work on the railroad track there, which is very much needed.
Is this on Main Street?
I think.
West Main?
No.
East Main.
East Main, right by the cemetery?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Be a mess.
All right.
Thank you, Judge.
Appreciate you, Sheriff.
Judge,
Yeah.
I want to thank Sheriff's Office. I did a ride-along last night. Thank you, Tony, for setting that up. It's eye-opening. We did a lot of things last night, served some eviction notices, and that's stuff that you just don't think about. It's dangerous jobs. I would hate to think that we would have to have Bert and his staff to serve eviction notices. I mean, it's very dangerous. So that's why we have a sheriff's office and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that go into the sheriff's office that citizens don't understand. And, you know, we've got a long way to go to figure all this out, but there's a lot of things they do that go unnoticed.
Yeah.
Just want to thank you all for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Hey, we'll get there.
Yeah.
We'll get there for sure. Steve, you good?
Thank you.
Good, appreciate you. All right, see, I got all that. Department heads. Y'all can see me at the office. How about that? Comments from the audience and Facebook comments. Do we have any audience? Anybody want to address the court today? And then do we have any social media stuff?
There's been between 30 and 60 people watching, no comments.
All right, good. Thank you all, and thank those that are watching. Appreciate your participation. All right, I need a motion and a second to pay the claims and approve the transfers.
Make a motion?
Second.
So I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, call the roll.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Master Luckner?
Yes.
Master Hughes?
Yes.
Master Botkin?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Our next meeting, and remember, this is kind of changed up, so I'm just going to try to get everybody used to this. But our next meeting is January 24th, 2023. That will be at Richmond City Hall Chambers. It's the Richmond Commission's Chambers. Will be our meeting. Same time, 9:30. It'll be Tuesday morning, January the 24th, 2023 at 9:30 in the Richmond City Hall Chambers. Look forward to seeing everybody there. I need a motion and a second to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll.
Master Lockmuller?
Yes.
Master Hughes?
Yes.
Master Botkin?
Yes.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Thank you, everybody, for being here.